I'd like to call this special meeting of the Montgomery Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Ms. Alcantara, are there any public comments? There are no registered public comments. The board will go into closed session as authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act. For the items listed on our agenda, we will return shortly. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We are returning from closed session. There is no action items to take from our closed session, so we will adjourn the special meeting. This is the February 18th regular meeting of the Montgomery Independent School District Board of Trustees. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please join me in the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. Heavenly Father, we ask that you bless those that are dealing with illness, and we ask that you look over them and provide health. We ask you that you keep our students, our teachers, our staff, keep them in your care, keep them in your guidance. Father, we ask for wisdom on this board. We ask that you continue to guide us in the decisions that we make coming ahead. In your Son's holy name, amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight. Dr. Ruffin, do we have any special recognitions?
We do. We've got several. Just Mr. Marino is going to come up and kick us off with our recognitions. I think we've got some students here that are probably smarter than everybody in the room. We're going to find out why.
That's true. That's true. Good evening, board. Dr. Ruffin. I'm actually going to invite Mr. Jeremy Day up to make some remarks about some incredible students that have achieved some outstanding accomplishments this school year. So,
thank you so much. Students, you want to come up, please? See if we can remember the directions we were given that we're national merits. All right, perfect. Look at you guys. All right, good evening. I have the honor of recognizing some amazing MISD students tonight for their significant academic achievements. This year we have 5 MISD students who have been recognized by the National Merit Scholarship Program. Earning this recognition is no small feat, especially in Texas, which actually ranks among the top 10 most competitive states for national merit distinction. To put that in perspective, qualifying as a National Merit finalist in Texas is like running a marathon where the finish line is set about a mile further than for all other runners from other states. The National Merit Scholarship Program is one of the most distinguished academic competitions in the country. It begins with over 1.3 million students taking the PSAT their junior year. The top 3% of these students are considered commended scholars, whereas the top 1% become National Merit semifinalists in hopes of becoming a finalist. These achievements don't happen by chance. They are results of years of hard work and dedication and the support of an entire community. While every school can say that they have a valedictorian and a salutatorian, most schools cannot say that they have National Merit scholars. This distinction speaks volumes about the culture of academic excellence we cultivate within our district. So, from Lake Creek High School, we have Keaton Anderson, who's got to get to a choir concert here pretty quick. He plans to serve a 2-year mission with his church and then study engineering at BYU. His most influential person has been his dad. He has been my role model for my entire life. He enjoys reading, video games, and singing in the choir, and he hates cheese, apparently. All right, next we have Marshall Anderson. He is undecided on school, but wants to study computer engineering, and he's also an Eagle Scout. His most inspirational teacher is Mr. Duke Marshall, who solidified his interest in computers and taught him to advocate for himself. He would like to meet Abraham Lincoln because he is by far the best president we have ever had. There you go, thanks. And then we have Brett Harrington. He wants to study music composition at either UT, TCU, or Sam Houston. His most impactful teacher has been Mr. Moons for academic decathlon. He has helped him to learn and study more efficiently. He plays competitive Pokemon and can name all 1,025 Pokemon by memory in order. Wow. Pretty impressive. All right. These are our Lake Creek scholars. So. All right, and now from MHS, our commended scholar is Mr. Richard Orduna Garcia. He will be attending Vanderbilt University on a full Quest Bridge scholarship. He wants to study mechanical engineering. He enjoys drawing and can solve a Rubik's Cube in under a minute. Pretty impressive. And finally, we actually found out this today, we have a National Merit finalist, Mr. Brody Grotchett. He will be attending, well, he just visited Purdue, so we're not sure, it was really cold, so we're not sure if that's going to work out. He visited Purdue, he's looking at Texas, Texas A&M, or maybe the University of Florida. He wants to study biochemistry, something in the medical research field. He plays clarinet, saxophone, and was the head drum major at MHS. He also scored a 35 out of 36 on the ACT and a 1550 on the SAT. His most influential teacher has been Miss Lynch, his fifth grade teacher who, when he was a slow reader, she worked with him to help improve his reading skills. He would love to have dinner with Spider-Man because he would have great stories to tell and seems like someone who would be easy to talk to, and he would be able to say, "Yo, I had dinner with Spider-Man." These are our National Merit Scholars. All right. We're going to go to the board and get a picture real quick. There you go. I don't think we have time. Congrats. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll get a picture of them real quick.
And I know there's lots of moms and dads who want photos, so if y'all want. Yes.
I tried. Congrats, guys.
Guys, to say that we're proud of y'all is an understatement. So thank y'all, and thank you to the parents for investing all those nights, especially early on in homework and making sure that these guys can flourish to their fullest. So once again, one more round of applause, folks. How do you top that?
You can't top
Continue.
that. We'll try to top that. But we do have something very exciting to celebrate in Montgomery ISD. TEPSA, and we talk a lot about all the acronyms in public education. So TEPSA, Texas Elementary Principals and Supervisors Association. Is that right? TEPSA. They recently announced their elementary school assistant principal of the year for Region 6 and the TEPSAN of the year for Region 6. And if you think about all of Region 6, that's about 55, 60 school districts. And so we won both. Montgomery ISD won elementary assistant principal of the year and TEPSAN of the year. So I'm going to ask Carrie Fitzpatrick to share a little bit more about these two individuals.
Good evening. Although it is always hard to be celebrating our students, we have a couple of fabulous
leaders that I would like to share a little bit about as well. Madeley Ranch Elementary Assistant Principal Megan Parker has been named the 2025 Region 6 Assistant Principal of the Year by Texas Elementary Principals and Supervisors Association, TEPSA, as Justin just mentioned. This is a peer-based award that celebrates assistant principals from 20 TEPSA regions across the state that demonstrate exceptional leadership in fostering a culture of excellence and for students and teachers on their campuses. Although she has been with us for a relatively short period of time, I can tell you Megan has been a wonderful example of what it means to be a servant leader. The example she sets each day is equally as impressive as her skill set and passion for education. She's a daily blessing to MISD, and we are so proud to have her as part of our Montgomery family. Please help me congratulate Megan Parker.
Come on.
I didn't have rules like the scholars did.
Megan, I just want to tell you publicly how appreciative we are of you, and again, you are a true blessing to Montgomery ISD, and I know specifically at Madeley Ranch, and I just want to say thank you. We're very proud of you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you so much.
Hang tight, and we're going to take a picture with the next group as we all gather around here.
And also, Carrie Ashlock was recently named Region 6 TEPSON of the Year by Texas Elementary Principals and Supervisors Association. Members from the 20 TEPSA regions across the state annually honor a colleague for their exceptional service to the association. Award recipients must be committed to advancing the principalship and advocating for Texas pre-K through 8th grade students and educators. TEPSA, whose hallmark is educational leaders learning with and from each other, has served Texas pre-K through 8 school leaders since 1917. TEPSA has more than 5,900 members who direct activities of more than 3 million pre-K through 8th grade school children. How exciting is it that one of our own has been recognized for her so noteworthy contributions? As someone who has the privilege to work with Ms. Ashlock routinely, I can assure you her work is stellar. While I have a moment to sing Ms. Ashlock's praises, a few months back, Lincoln Elementary was recognized by becoming a model PLC campus under Mrs. Ashlock's leadership. Yesterday, an article written by Ms. Ashlock was published as a case study titled Lincoln Elementary, A Transformative Journey in All Things PLC Magazine. We are beyond proud of Ms. Ashlock's continued contributions to MISD, as well as educators far beyond the borders of our district, region, and state. Once again, congratulations to Ms. Ashlock. I understand the hard copies are in the mail, so once we get one, we'll have to share so you too can read her contributions that have been published. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fitzpatrick.
So much good stuff. We're not done yet.
And last, certainly not least, we have a special guest here tonight to recognize Miss Kim Ellis from Madeley Ranch Elementary for becoming a national board certified teacher. So I'd like to ask the real Dr. Morrison to come up and for this recognition.
Hello, my name is obviously the real Dr. Morrison, and I'm here representing Education Service Center 6, and I'm here to tell you about a really exciting accomplishment by one of your teachers. One of the things that we do at Region 6 is that we support teachers who are undergoing national board certification, and Thank you so much for allowing me to be here to talk about National Board Certification and recognizing Kim Ellis for her outstanding accomplishment of becoming a National Board Certified Teacher. For those of you who have not previously heard my spiel, which I have espoused on many occasions, National Board Certification is the most respected professional certification available for K-12 educators in the country. It is a voluntary process to certify teachers through standards established by teachers, for teachers, and are designed to develop, retain, and recognize accomplished teachers nationwide. Like board certification and many other professional fields, such as medicine, dentistry, and accounting, National Board Certification for teachers is a rigorous process whereby the candidate must demonstrate high levels of pedagogical as well as content knowledge, as well as accomplishing teaching across a number of required components. Additionally, the process is deeply personal because it involves close examination of our own teaching skills and practices within the context in which we work. It is difficult, but it is transformative professional experience. This process can take anywhere from 1 to 5 years, with most candidates opting to submit within a 2-year plan. Let me help you to understand the degree of Kim's accomplishment. Not only did she submit all 4 accomplishments in 1 year, which is a lot of work, she achieved National Board Certification in 1 year after submitting all 4 of those accomplishments. This is a huge achievement. I cannot underestimate that. In recognition, we will be providing a nameplate that will designate her as a National Board Certified Teacher that she will be able to put outside of her door in order to be able to show off that designation. Kim Ellis and those who support and pursue National Board Certification demonstrate the impact that an accomplished teacher can have on students. Please, please, please help me in congratulating a truly impactful, accomplished educator. Thank you. Do I give you a hug? I don't know.
Ms. Ellis, do you want to say anything? I don't want to put you on the spot if you don't want to, but that's a ton of work to put in.
Yes, sir.
If you'd love to say anything, you're more than happy to.
You know,
feel
I
welcome.
found Dr. Morrison when we were doing our back to school big kickoff at the high school, and it was just one of the sessions that was available. And after hearing what she had to say, my entire team, we said, we're going to do this and we're going to do this together. And so I ended up going through the entire process, and as she said, it is the best professional development that I can possibly suggest for a teacher. It is transformative, as Dr. Morrison said. So it was a great deal of work. My daughter was a senior that year, and so I kind of did her a little bit of disservice, but whenever I locked in, I said, okay, I've got 21 Saturdays, I've got 21 Sundays, I've got all the spring break, I got Good Friday, I can do this. So it's one of those things where once I found out that I received it, I told Dr. Morrison and a couple of friends, even Tim, I said, I keep thinking they're going to take it away from me. I keep looking to double check, do they really mean to give this to me? But here we are, so thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're going to have our special recognitions come on back down and take a picture.
Dr. Morrison, if you want to come up as well. Carrie, do you want to come over and be part of this too? Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Congratulations.
Dr. Ruffin, if you don't mind, I'd like to say one real quick word. I've been in each one of y'all's classrooms or hallways, Ms. Parker. To see Kim Ellis teach is an inspiration. You put me in an amazing mood when you have little bitties running around you, and that doesn't happen to me very often, to be honest, Ms. Ellis. But when you see any number of our teachers do their craft in Montgomery ISD. When you see our administrators walking the halls, knowing kids by name. I was visiting Miss Ashlock's campus on a whim just this last week, and it just put me in the right frame of mind. It's a true testament to all the work that our educators do in this district, and I just want to, as a community, recognize that one more time. So thank y'all.
I was going to ask if you'd be okay disclosing your SAT score.
Nowhere near what it was with those gentlemen. It was on a totally different scale. I think it started with a negative number. But yeah, no, not anything like that. So great recognition tonight, Dr. Ruffin. Thank you. Anything else on those?
That's it.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, next we are coming to public comments. We do have a registered public comment tonight. Andrea Bierwinkle speaking on GT services. Ms. Bierwinkle, please join us at the podium. Just real quickly, I will kind of review the script for tonight. The board allots 3 minutes for public comments tonight. Each speaker is allowed the maximum of that time. This is to allow community members to speak to the topic that they have registered to speak. We ask that you keep specific complaints or names of individuals out of your comment if at all possible. And recognizing that there is a process for those kind of complaints to work through if that's at all possible. Secondly, we are very limited as a board in what we can say and do in response to your public comment. We cannot take any votes on your public comment tonight. And so without any further ado, then we'd love to turn the mic over to you.
Good evening. My name is Andrea Bierwinkle, and I'm the mother of 2 GT students who attend elementary and junior high schools in MISD. I'm also a veteran teacher who has designed GT curriculum for the large district in the Houston area. As a mother and teacher that I'm here, I'm concerned about the ways MISD is serving GT students. The Texas legislature mandates that all school districts identify and serve GT students at all grade levels. The Texas Board of Education has developed the Texas State Plan for the Education of Gifted, Talented Students. The plan was most recently ratified or revised in September 2024, and the accountability standards within the plan reflect actions required in state law and or State Board of Education rule. MISD is not meeting those accountability standards. Specifically, I'm concerned about the lack of an advisory group and general communication with parents in accordance with the state plan for accountability items 2.29 related to sharing student progress with parents and almost every standard in the family community involvement strand of the state plan. I'm also concerned about how the district operates a program for gifted and talented students as mentioned in Texas Education Code 39.236 and State Plan 4.4, both relating to required participation in TPSP or another experience that results in sophisticated products. I understand that per the MISD trustee constituent flowchart, you may say, well, have you tried this at the department level? My answer is no, because there's no one at the department level. There's not currently a GT coordinator at the district. Additionally, the legal requirements of serving the district's GT population is not an individual campus issue. This is not a failing of teachers and principals. It is a failing of the district administration. Therefore, let's call it a yes and move towards asking Dr. Ruffin to seek a resolution to properly and fully meet the legal obligation of servicing the GT population of MISD just as fully as the district is servicing students at the other end of the special education spectrum. As mentioned, I'm concerned about the lack of an advisory group in communication with parents. The MISD GT pages have not been updated since the 23-24 school year, and the contact information is for a person who no longer serves as GT coordinator. To the best of my knowledge, there have been no advisory meetings since the 23-24 school year. Further, I have never received communication on my students' progress in response to GT services as stated in 2.2 of the State Accountability Plan. All of these issues put the district out of compliance with the State Accountability Plan. I'm also concerned about how the district operates the plan as mentioned in Texas Education Code and the state plan. The TPSP website says that all tasks include two phases. Phase 1, the learning experience that involved teacher-driven instruction, and Phase 2 is independent research. In my years that my students have attended MISD schools and completed the Texas Performance Standard Plan, I am not aware of a single instance where they received teacher-driven instruction in working and advising content and process of working through discipline-based research. Instead, they are dumped in Phase 2 with no guidance. I ask, how can students develop quality products with no guidance? They can't. To be clear, I do not think this is a failing of teachers or campuses. It's a failing of the district because there's clearly no guidance. I'm asking that the board charge Dr. Ruppin with seeking a resolution to properly and fully meet the legal obligation of servicing the GT population of MISD. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Beerwinkle. Appreciate it. And Dr. Ruffin, if you don't mind following up, appreciate that. Okay, board members, with no other registered public comments, we will move now to consent agenda. Is there a board member that wishes to pull a consent agenda item? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
Thank you, Mr. Robb. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Cameron. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, consent agenda carries. Action items. Action item 6A, consider approval of a purchase over $50,000 for police department vehicles.
Yeah, so we don't have very many meetings, but there's only one action item. But this is an important one, an exciting one. So Chief Dory's done a great job in really establishing relationships with other agencies around us, and the city of Tomball has been a partner with us and with Chief Dory, and has allowed us the opportunity and option of purchasing some of their vehicles that they have transitioned out and cycled out. This is a huge value add for the district. Obviously, these larger agencies in which they're on the road all the time put 80 to 100,000 miles on a vehicle, and then they've got to cycle those back out. Our officers don't have take-home cars, so we don't put a lot of miles on our squad cars, and so it's a huge value add, and they've offered those to us at a very discounted rate. We previously purchased six. We purchased six in the summertime, I believe, and got those turned around and started to replace out some of our old vehicles, and got. It's pretty nice now to see everything looking the same. We've got the color rust off of most of our vehicles, which is great. But this is just the next cycle, the next opportunity to purchase four more police vehicles, and the value and the benefit that this has provided is honestly through the passage of Proposition A. You know, when that proposition was put in front of our voters, we talked about making sure that we can retain our staff. Retention of our police officers is a component of that. If you've ever worked into an office, your office space, your environment impacts how you feel about your job. Getting into a vehicle that you spend a lot of time in impacts how you feel about your job. So it's just another opportunity that the passage of Prop A has allowed us to pay for this out of the general fund revenues, and I think like $3,000 a piece. So you talk about some significant savings on a patrol vehicle that is equipped with lights, equipped with all the safety things it needs to have on it. It is ready to go for us to use. Just put in our comm system into it. It's just a great opportunity for the district.
Board members, any questions?
No, just thank you, Chief, for bringing your networking in to save us a lot of money over the years.
Thank you all for, considering the opportunity and moving forward with it, because, it has been a good benefit for us. You can see them parked at our schools, and it just gives a fresh, clean look, and thank you all for that initiative to consider. So are we, one quick question, are we taking any of the old police cars out of service, and if so, what does that process look like?
Yeah, so we have the option to auction those off. And I know we've auctioned buses off in the past. The idea on when you conduct an auction is you'd like to get as many things together to auction off all at once as you can. And so I think we're in that process now of trying to find the best route forward, the most efficient way of doing that. don't hold your breath on how much money they're going to bring, but we'll get something out of them.
Will this, so after, let's see, how many do we have in group one?
We purchased 6. Prior to that, we had 3 other trucks that we purchased.
Yeah,
Right.
prior to me getting here, you purchased three trucks. That replaced 3 that we had. Now, I understand we've added some staff since then, too. Last year, we were able to replace 6 vehicles, so I took 6 of the vehicles that were in the poorest mechanical and cosmetic condition, cycled those out. Worked with transportation. Those are set to go to auction whenever they send a couple of buses and put the packet together. These 4 will allow us to replace the 4 Tauruses that we have, which are 2014s, maybe 2011s, 12s. And then it also will allow us to transition everything over to a solid white vehicle with the new graphics, and we will not have any black and white vehicles anymore.
So we'll have a few additional vehicles in the event one breaks down or needs to be serviced. We'll have,
I think what we need to do is look at the Tauruses, because even though they have the miles on them or the years on them, maybe they're still in good enough condition to hold a couple of those back in case, one goes down, or if we need to send somebody out of town to a school, to whatever it might be. But yes, it will give us that option.
perfect, thank you.
You bet.
Board members, other questions? Technically speaking, I don't believe you need board action on this tonight. It's under 50,000, but it's an opportunity to kind of focus and celebrate that we're getting a good deal thanks to Chief and Prop A in action, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And anytime that, even if, so the above $50,000 threshold is in accruals, right? So even if it's not one standalone purchase, if you take the 6 vehicles we purchased previously, take these 3, we just want to make sure that we're transparent in the way we're utilizing our funds. And so this was just a chance to make sure that it's out there that these funds are going to that, even though it doesn't cross over that $50,000 threshold yet. It very well might in the future if we've got that relationship.
All right, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase over 50,000 for PD vehicles.
Thank you, Mr. Dennison. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Cameron. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Chief, have fun with them.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, information item 7A, first reading of board policies, board policy update 124, and a whole suite of first reading policies, an entire paragraph of policies that we're going to read. So what's going on there, Dr. Ruffin?
Yeah. So the policies are in your board book, and the way that we approach these is we have a first opportunity to put y'all's eyes on them. Our team goes through these, and what TASB always does is anytime there's legislation passed or just legal changes that are made, TASB presents us with board policy updates, and they're always numbered, so this one's 1, 2, 4. The legal policies that they provide us, the board doesn't adopt. The local ones have some discretion or some variance that may apply more specifically to one district than other. So we go through those and adopt the ones and how they're written and how they apply to our practices and our policies. So what we'll do here is we don't go through and read all these, but board, you have the opportunity to read them, and then at our next workshop, we'll actually spend time to adopt these and talk about any changes that are made. Most of the time, it's updating verbiage. It's not substantive changes. It's calling, for a long time, they still had the state assessments on there called the tax. Well, we haven't taken the tax test in a long time. So you'll see some of those things just cycled out and just updating the policies. So no action item required. We'll follow back up at our March workshop.
Great. Just for the community's benefit, this is policies related to fiscal management goals and objectives, other revenues, investments, intellectual property, employee standards of conduct. I am going to read them just for the purpose. Curriculum design, special programs, gifted and talented, special student welfare, child abuse and neglect, community relations, and conduct on school premises. So having skimmed a few of these, they are dates and generic kind of updates, but we will have a future vote on this at a future board meeting. So any questions right now? All right, thank you. Information item 7B, academic update goal 1.
All right, our teaching and learning team, Dr. Summers and Ms. Fitzpatrick will come down. I know we've got y'all eagerly waiting.
That's right. Thank you very much. So this evening, we look forward to presenting to the board and our community just the annual update to Goal 1, which is around our academic progress and the strategies that we have implemented there. And we also tie into that the required by the state of Texas, the district's annual report. So I'm going to lead off with that and then hand it off to Ms. Fitzpatrick, and then we're going to let a lot of our very talented teaching and learning team share with you some of the exciting and impactful things that we're doing on the teaching and learning side for academics. So just a reminder, TEA requires that we put together a annual report every year, have to present it to the board and the community, and then post it on our website before, I think it's March 3rd or 6th, something like that. And so this document has actually already been posted to the website. We did that today. It's in your board packet. And there are 7 sections to the annual report. There's the TAPER, which is the Texas Academic Performance Report. That is basically a large document, and it's for the district and then each campus, and it breaks down a lot of information that I'll highlight in just a moment. Then there's the PEIMS Financial Standards Report, the district's accreditation status, then our campus performance objectives, which is for us our campus improvement plans. Then there's a section for the report on violent and criminal incidents, our student performance in post-secondary institutions, and then a little glossary. So that's what's in that packet. It's about 180 some odd pages, I believe. It's a PDF. And like I said, it's available on our website as of this evening. So what's in the TAPER report? I just want to remind you of a few things. All of those bulleted points are what's in the TAPER report, but there are 3 pieces that are missing. As you might recall, there's been a couple of lawsuits over the A through F accountability over the last couple of years. There was one in 2023, and then another one in 2024 at the start of the year because a few districts said that charged or countered that the standards for the metrics, basically, of how they're going to use A through F weren't released in the proper timing. And they actually had the court case, or at least the presentation of facts, on February 10th. So we'll see if they come back with a ruling on that. And in lieu of that, there are no accountability ratings being released so far for 2024. There are no distinction designations because that requires an accountability calculation, and there are no academic growth. So those 3 pieces are missing from the TAPER report. There is the special education determination status, which we meet requirements for that. There is the STAR performance, and I reported on that to the board back in September at our September 2024 board meeting. Then there's the bilingual education performance measures, STAR participation, and then all of the things like around attendance and graduation and all the metrics that you get, like our composition of our staff and so on. And then there's some CCMR data. So that's the TAPER report. Part 2 of that report is the PEIMS Financial Standards Report. That is calculated by TEA. They put that up every year. It does have a lag. The 22-23 is the most recent one that we can have. So there's about a 2-year lag on that. Basically, I print that off, include that in the report. There's no ratings associated with that specific report. Then there's the district accreditation status. We are listed as accredited. It's a good thing. And that's based on those 3 bullets that you see down there, some academic accountability ratings, the financial accountability ratings, and then RDA, which is a federal component that they look at results-driven accountability measures. And then there's the campus performance objectives. So for us, that's our campus improvement plans. So that's what takes up the bulk of the report. A lot of those 180 pages are our campus improvement plans. Dr. Busby is sort of over that, runs that, makes sure that campuses are building those out, make sure that we have a good campus and district improvement plan as well. And so those are in there. Section 5 is the report on violent criminal incidents. That one's one that sometimes brings up questions because when you look at it, it's one page and there's just a couple of incidences in our district and usually at our high schools. That's the case this year. And sometimes I'll get the question of, well, I know there was more than 11 incidents at a high school campus or in the district. Remember, these are just the violent ones. These are like felonies, things like manslaughter, murder, not nice things with, kids and that kind of stuff. So those are we don't have, fortunately, a lot of that in our district. But if we did have some of those, then we have to report those things. And so that's in that report, but it's pretty, it's a one-pager. Then section 6 is the student performance post-secondary. So that's the one that tracks how our students do once they go off to college, how many graduate within 4 years and so on. And so that's that report in there. That's just, again, something I print off of TEA. They released that report for us and I include it in there. And then there's the glossary of all the terms in education. We have lots and lots of acronyms and abbreviations and the glossaries there to help. So that's the district's annual report. It's up there on the website, like I mentioned, and there's contact information as well on the website. If anyone has questions from the community or whatnot, they can feel free to reach out to me, and I will answer their questions on that. So that's the annual report. Before we jump off into the strategic plan goal 1 update, I thought we'd pause there just because it's a little bit of a separate, if you had any questions from the board or whatnot on that annual report.
No questions, just for the community to recognize this report is 1,122 pages long.
There you go.
And we do dig through them. For example, I am looking at the violent incidents report, just kind of fact checking you, Dr. Summers, no offense.
Yeah, that's okay.
Checking in on those things. It's a lot of work, and this board has taken that very seriously and looking it over. So.
So yes, I would recommend downloading the PDF and just reading it electronically, unless you do
take about a day to download it. So.
All right, I'm going to let Ms. Fitzpatrick come up and lead us through a conversation about the Goal 1 update.
Hello again. So as you know, Goal 1 of our strategic plan is all about teaching and learning. It's about the academic part of why we do what we do. And we have 4 big categories of this goal. We want to be sure that each student makes at least 1 year's academic growth. We want to be sure that our students are demonstrating grade level proficiency. And as you see, there it says at least 80%. That's simply in line with the state standards. Our goal, obviously, is to make sure that all of our students are showing growth. And we want to close the performance gaps and be sure that all of our graduates are graduating with college, career, or military readiness. As a teaching and learning team, as we started working on the refreshed goals, we wanted to be sure that we weren't functioning in isolation, elementary and secondary. So we've had several conversations and collaborative meetings where we talk about being one united team and making sure that we have a shared vision and mission. So we came up with this visual to kind of show you and the community what our ultimate work is about. Our true vision is to ensure high levels of learning and the success of all students. And we want to do that. Our work is guided by making sure that we're showing and monitoring continuous improvement, and that's in our adult practices to be sure that we're giving our students what we need, analyzing data, several strategies there, making sure that we are engaging in professional development so we can continue to pour into others, and then also providing quality professional development opportunities for our staff, making sure that we are continuously providing high quality evidence-based resources and materials in each of our classrooms, and that it is collaborative in our decision making. We want to be sure that we hear a variety of voices and that we don't have just 1 or 2 people making decisions. Just to highlight some of our high levels of support that our department offers, I'd mentioned professional development around the district priorities that have been identified. We've talked a lot to you over the last couple of years about the PLC process and collaboration, making sure that we have collective commitments and we're all driving in the same direction. We have worked really hard to support our schools in the implementation of the new science standards and the instructional resources that we've chosen to use. Many of you, or all of you, have been involved in learning walks this year. We're doing the exact same thing with each of our leaders to build capacity in our leadership as well. We've implemented reading, math, and science benchmarks, and that not only is a source of data on how our students are performing, but it's really a measure to see how we're doing as a department in ensuring that the Texas essential knowledge and skills are outlined as they should be in the curriculum documents that we provide. Some of you have seen examples of this next one in your learning walks, cross-curricular writing in grades K through 5. We recently visited a classroom and we were participating in a social studies lesson, and then there was evidence of writing through mentor text. So I'm glad that you got to see that in action. We also provide opportunities for vertical alignment. This past Monday was an example of this. At the elementary level and the secondary level, art, music, PE, several groups had a chance to meet and make certain that what is being done in one grade level aligns nicely with the grade levels above them. We have campus data meetings, MTSS. We have implemented additional branches into our multiple tiered systems of supports. And we've really had a focus where MTSS is concerned on the behavior side of things with a leadership cohort. I'm going to let the true experts share the details of Goal 1 and some of our look-fors and accomplishments this year. And before doing that, I want to just do a quick introduction. When I say your name, if you will stand up. Jamie McAllister is our elementary curriculum coordinator. Danette Key, our elementary instructional specialist. Allie Woodall, our secondary curriculum coordinator, she's not here this evening. Tiffany Neal, secondary instructional specialist. Jeremy Day, another secondary instructional specialist. Amy Vance, our CTE director, and just wanted to be sure and mention Tony Tennyson, who is our CTE director as well. And I'm going to turn this over to Danette.
Good afternoon, good evening, Dr. Ruffin, MISD board. As we share several points of data with you to enlighten you on where we stand as a department, some of the systems and the processes that we have in place, we wanted to make sure that we make our community aware that when we're thinking about data, some of the data that typically comes to the forefront is how did we do on STAR? But as a teaching and learning department, we prioritize multiple points of data, several of which you can see on the screen in front of you. We take our data sources from things like universal screeners, which just give us an indicative code of where our students are and are any of our students at risk. These are very brief, they're standardized, and we give them at 3 points in the year. Additionally, we did drill down further based on need using some diagnostics assessments. These are not for every child, but they're individualized so that we know which skills may be causing the gaps in student learning and then what we need to teach. Again, progress monitoring, another data point collected about every 2 weeks, tells us is what we're working on working, is the student growing and learning, or do we need to change something and change our course? And then another data point, probably the most popular amongst our parents and community, and of course what MISD is almost driven by when it comes to accountability, is the evaluation or this summative assessment. But rest assured, we take several points of summative assessments when deciding on whether our Tier 1 systems of support are working for our students. district benchmarks, unit assessments, unit tests, performance tasks, projects, and of course, STAR. Additionally, we want to be mindful that when we measure our students' success, that we look through two lenses. We look through the lens of growth. Growth is about our students. Not all students start at the same starting line, but it is our job and due diligence as in a department of teaching and learning and as an employee of MISD that all students grow. Additionally, we measure proficiency, which is an evaluative performance. So in the end, growth is about our students, and all students deserve to grow, and proficiency is about attaining a certain level of achievement. I would like to highlight and take a few minutes to highlight some impactful data that was shared with us at our middle of the year data meeting with Amplify, who is the keeper of our DIBELS data. We use DIBELS, the dynamic indicators of early literacy success, to measure our universal screen to measure the foundational skills of our youngest learners. Kindergarten, first, second. We do use it in third, fourth, and fifth grade. This was highlighted as a point of pride from Amplify, knowing that in 2020, when we first made a decision to implement Amplify or DIBELS in our classrooms, and where we've come in just really 3 short years. We made these decisions based on evidence-based practice, what the current research was telling us, and our teachers have really dug in, and this data that you see here, this improvement, this change is a result of their hard work. We can drill down to the isolated skill level. So specifically what you're looking at is phonemic awareness. That's a student's ability to isolate or hear the individual sounds in a word. It is one of the #1 predictors of reading success. You can see where we started in 2020 and where our particular first grade students have come. And then lastly, I'd like to show you in terms of growth, looking through the lens of growth. This is our data from 23-24, so the beginning of the year last year to the end of the year, and where we sat against the national norms.
Good evening. It is always an honor to speak before you, particularly when we talk about one of our favorite things, and that's data. That's kind of, what we're about. So one thing that, like Danette showed with M-Class, iReady is our math diagnostic. And we wanted to show you what some of the cohort outcomes would be. So what you can see here is a median percentile rank relative to the year 2022 versus our most recent diagnostic taken in January. So if you direct your attention over to the far right where it says current 5th graders, those current sitting 5th graders were 3rd graders in the winter of 22-23, and you can see where the median percentile rank was. This is national norm over the course of the last couple of years. We like to see that upward trend. And the same goes for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. In conversations that we've had, particularly, I would say at the junior high level, one thing that we're really working on is making sure that we have processes in place to get really good data, that these testing conditions are really held of high importance so that the data is really useful. So that is one particular point I wanted to point out. So now, performance objective 1 is all about student growth, as Ms. Fitzpatrick mentioned, and this slide shows us a little bit about the growth happening related to reading. So the left column is the Reading Universal Screener and the percentage of students that, no matter where they started, were able to meet that 1 year's growth in 23-24. On the right-hand side is according to STAR. So if you remember that there are various performance levels, in order for students to meet that 1 year's growth on STAR, they need to meet that same performance level as the prior year and or exceed it. In the parentheses is the state results, so that there is a comparison to our district data. This is for reading, and this is the same information for math. The left is the iReady Math Screener and how many students met their individual growth goals. Again, they could come in 2 grade levels above or 2 grade levels below, and anywhere in between, we want to give that 1 year at least to every student. And before I show performance levels specific to achievement, I wanted to remind you of those 4 different performance levels. approaches, according to the state of Texas, means they passed the test. So that would mean that they would be considered proficient or satisfactory. But what we know to be true in Montgomery ISD, and according to our strategic plan, we really want students and we want to measure that at the meets and masters level. So when we talk about proficiency, that's the level with which we're doing that. So this is the performance objective 2, which says that at least 80% of students will demonstrate grade level proficiency in reading. On the left is our universal screener. That's the percentage of students in each grade level. And then the meets or master's level according to STAR, RLA. And in parentheses again, that is the state results. And then we also want to make sure that we have other points of data that we're bringing in. So this is the first time we've included this piece, our district fall benchmark data, our most recent data point to support the percentage of students that were at the meets and master's level in our district assessments. Teachers are in the midst of taking those spring benchmarks right now. And this is related to grade level proficiency in math. iReady scores on the left, STAR in the center, and the fall district benchmark on the right. Some things we also wanted to note or present to you are the things that we do kind of behind the scenes related to performance objective 3, which is closely monitoring specific identified groups and making sure we're closing gaps. So this is just a list of some of the structures and supports that we have in place, both at the district level as well as the campus level. All of the teaching and learning team is very involved in each of these components, being a part of data discussions. Every campus has a beginning, middle, and end of year leadership and key stakeholders at that school having a data meeting. There's also individualized approaches to specific school needs because one school is not like the other. And so we want to make sure that we can support them where they are. MTSS protocols are a really important component. Studying those failure reports, early warning indicators. We want to be ahead and proactive rather than reactive. And then that brings us to something we're very proud of, and that is designating what are our instructional priorities. This helps us because we can't fix everything. We don't want to fix everything, but we have to make sure that the lens with which we provide support to our teachers is through what does the data tell us. So in elementary this past year, we did designate what is our filter, what are we going to put everything through, and one of those things had to do with science. It's a big deal for teachers when we change standards. It's everything they've known is turned upside down, and now they have to kind of think about what it is that they're teaching. So developing an understanding of those new standards as well as implementation of the resources that support them.
Additionally, based on our summative data point, which was the ECR, it's an extended constructed response where our students are required to do a brief composition against a passage using text evidence. We noticed that, I would say it would be fair to say, chapter 12, that we had some deficiencies. And so we really put our efforts and focus on strategies to improve writing instruction versus finding just a program, because programs don't teach our kids. So we've been very diligent, we've been very purposeful in making sure that our teachers understand the reciprocal process between reading and writing across all content areas. Additionally, we've worked to sustain and reinforce things like language comprehension, because we know that even our youngest learners sitting in our pre-K classrooms can comprehend at high levels when we control the text. We've been very diligent in refining and building that instructional coach model, pouring into them through our PLC processes, improving our practices as instructional coaches in our monthly PLC meetings. We continue to promote that explicit and systematic instruction of phonics because that is leading to the data that we started off with. And then in math, we continue to drive home the importance of not only building that conceptual understanding and that procedural fluency, but understanding what mathematics instruction looks like in MISD.
So for secondary, again, one of the main priorities for us was science with the new curriculum and the new standards. So we are ensuring that our standards are being taught correctly and aligning with the state, and then also that the new curriculum that was adopted by MISD last year is being utilized. One of the things that we are reinforcing this year is our PLC collaborations with in the junior high and the high schools. And then also the Fundamental 5 strategies being utilized in all secondary classrooms and using data to drive our instructional practices and any changes that need to be made to the curriculum.
Okay. I know Ms. Vance is going to come next month and talk about the CTE part of our objective, performance objective 4, which deals with our college and career and military readiness. But from an advanced academic side, some of the things that we're doing to kind of boost those numbers is going to be, we're doing TSI and SAT testing for all 11th graders. We're offering an SAT boot camp coming up in March, right before the 11th graders all take their boot camp, before they take the SAT. We started offering an AP summer boot camp as well to kind of get 9th graders coming in, or new kids that are taking AP courses, kind of getting used to those courses and things like that. So those, I know Ms. Vance will talk more about the CCMR part. And on the horizon, some of the things that the district is looking at doing to try to enhance our performance is establishing a district math framework. We're going to, again, keep pouring into the PLC process. We're big believers in that. Continue to emphasize building data literacy with our teachers, using data to drive instruction. Always review, refine our curriculum to make sure it's meeting the needs of our students, and expand our advanced academic programs and opportunities. And any questions for all of us? I can take them, but.
Can you go over real quick, thanks for the excellent presentation, the AP Summer Boot Camp, exactly, because I know the, freshman, the AP Summer Boot Camp, just a little bit more explanation.
Yes, sir. So we started it this past year, and so we invite any student that's going to take any AP courses. It was a 2-day boot camp, if you will. We had some teachers come up and kind of lead what an AP classroom's like, what the homework workload is, what you need to do to kind of be prepared. All the studies show that students that take advanced coursework do better in college. They graduate on time, have higher grades. Whether or not they actually pass an AP test, the studies show just taking that level and rigor of course really helps them, bridge that gap. So one of my goals is to help, boost some of those students that are on the bubble of, hey, I've never taken an advanced class. Let's try it. And that boot camp was really successful, we felt like, this year.
Awesome. Thank you.
Other questions?
I've got, so on the data, do y'all mind just spending a couple minutes talking through, so when we looked at the fall benchmark, some of those fall benchmark numbers were probably lower than what we hoped to see. So can you just spend some time giving our game plan and our approach to, okay, now what, right? If we recognize, what does it look like after that fall benchmark to now?
Yeah. Yes. So the fall benchmark is about what had been taught prior to that assessment. All things in elementary I can speak to were things that were taught it fully to that point. But you get to that place where you have data and then you move on in the curriculum. We wish that we had all of the time in the world. So taking a benchmark, or like a stop on the road, if you could say, gives teachers a really good opportunity to say, how are my students performing along the way? So we have a data protocol in our district. Simply stated, it is what, so what, now what? And that now what is extremely critical. So teams of teachers at each campus go through that data protocol and talk about strategically, how are we going to make sure we meet the needs of those students? And then also, how are we going to make sure that students that perform really well, we continue to have them at that place? So each individual campus data, we know that. We talk about it with each individual campus. Many, many celebrations that we want to make sure that we say, keep doing that. And then also, what further supports do you need, whether it be a curricular area or an instructional area? So those are some things we work with the individual campuses on.
Thank you. Well, every year when we have this report, I ask the same question, but y'all have already made it vote, which is, start, stop, continue. What are we going to start? What are we going to stop? What are we going to continue? And y'all have already answered all that for me. So what are the questions? Dr. Ruffin?
I want to say one, go ahead, Carrie.
I would just like to add, on some of the slides, you'll probably notice that the third grade scores are a little lower. Just keep in mind, this is the first time these students are being exposed to a test of this magnitude. There is a tremendous amount of reading. There's a lot of stamina that's involved, and this is their big first exposure. So it's not at all uncommon. Sometimes those scores are a little bit lower than the other grade levels.
Thank you.
Man.
And again, this is meets and masters, not approaches. So these are performing at the higher levels because we want to make sure that our students are going into the next year well prepared, not approaches where we know they're going to need substantial support. So.
Thank you. And I'll testify for a minute here because and it just kind of goes to the importance of doing things with fidelity. And I've got a second grader that the process of dibbles and having data that truly supports, like, here are my child's weaknesses in reading. And so as a struggling reader, the progress he is making or the progress he's not making. And so kudos to our instructional teaching and learning team. Kudos to the teachers that are working as hard as they can to implement these things with fidelity, because like Jamie mentioned, we would love to be able to stop and say, well, we need to take an extra 2 weeks to do, TEAC 3.2a, whatever it might be. We just don't have that time. And so they are very intentional with the time spent. And so I just want to say I appreciate that. Thank you.
Teaching and learning team, thank y'all. Always a great time to see the data that y'all been digging through. So thank you very much. All right, folks, we're obviously dealing with a little bit of a microphone issue and some rain that's coming through, so bear with us. Next, 7.
This is a good bond for it.
It's 7C is bond information.
Absolutely. Mr. Mansfield, come on down. I think it's very appropriate that as it starts raining, you and your maintenance team get up and start walking around this building and find out where all the new leaks are. So go ahead and give us a bond update.
Due to the malfunctioning of the microphones, we're going to delay the bond update until next board meeting.
There's no test. Is this one better? Okay.
That motion fails for lack of a second. So let's proceed.
All right. Before we get started, I wanted to give a couple shout outs real quick to the team that I work with. So on a daily basis, David and Joe are on site working on a lot of these projects. At all of our OACs, there's David, Joe, Amanda's at a lot of those, and her technology team is there, offering support, feedback, and input. So I'm grateful for that. A team that, and Amy and Tony and her team with the CTE building, their input is often sought out and used. And then someone I haven't mentioned before, Teresa Blackwell is the administrative assistant that I split with HR. She does a lot of the procurement piece or the processing of the money that we spend. And then Ben and his team in finance, they do a lot of the processing of the money that we put forward every time. So I wanted to make sure I thank them and the work that we do as a team. It's important that we all work together to get this bond complete. So greatly appreciate that. Huckabee is here tonight, so I give a shout out to Stuart from Huckabee Campbell back there. He's great too as well. So, all right. This slide I added the last time we did a bond update. It's just a reminder again that these are the promises made in the last bond, 2022. All those things are what we are processing through this bond right there. So the categories again in Prop A, B, and C, to quickly go over those. Prop A is a lot of the campus stuff, renovations, new buildings, anything that really touches a campus and structure-wise is in Prop A, and also land campus upgrades and athletic and comparability. Prop B is very specific, a standalone item with the stadium, and that's the inside fence portion of the stadium. And then Prop C are the technology devices specific to devices used by students. So, all right. This is a slide that we put up every time. You can see the grains moving, and quite a few of those.
We've made some progress since the last time that was up there. How this kind of works is when you see a percentage up there, that's also aligns pretty closely to where we are in the pay app percentage. So if it says 70% of MHS renovations, we paid 70% around that time. So that gives you an idea about where we are when we process pay apps. And they typically bill us based on the percent complete outside of retainage from any job. What we spent up to this is money going out the door, checks being written, money being debited. And what we spent up to this point is $213 million. And what we have left is $113 million of money going out the door. A lot of that is procured through GMPs and purchase orders, but that's what has left the building right now. I tried to match Montgomery and Lake Creek colors, but the navy blue just didn't, the numbers didn't show up, so I'm with the baby.
Mr. Mansfield, you know I'm going to ask, we have enough to finish what we've done. I'm going to ask that question.
Yes, sir, we do. Yes, we went through that exercise recently, and with everything we've committed with encumbrances, we have enough to finish what we promised.
Thank you.
All right. So Creekside, quickly go through Creekside real quick. The biggest thing with Creekside, we're pretty much done. I mean, obviously the kids are in that building. We have quite a bit of retainage left on that project. The biggest outstanding items right now on the punch list are terrazzo, the security film, and the HVAC. With the security film, one of the punch items we have on that is I've had some questions about the level of the glazing that's on the outside of that. It seems to be more substantial at other campuses than it is there. Some of us not touching the film. We've asked Pogue to bring back that contractor and relook at that. The HVAC controls, probably the number one call we get, especially probably tomorrow morning and the next morning, is going to be cold or even hot classrooms. When the heat turns on, sometimes it gets going too much. Those HVAC controls are crucial to making sure that we have rooms at a comfortable pace. So HVAC controls at Creekside, we're still working through our testing and balancing team with Tab Technologies, our Tab controls, and they are on ALC, the contractor, making sure that we get those up and running and the temperatures appropriate in those rooms. So those are the big ones. The terrazzo, I can give you a little update on the terrazzo recently. If you've been in Creekside, you'll see some cracks in the floor. And that terrazzo, the entire building is pretty much terrazzo, and it's cementitious terrazzo, with the exception of the entryways, which is an epoxy terrazzo. So anytime we have that big emblem in the front right there, that's epoxy. You will see cracks in there. It's a little bit more expensive. Throughout the rest of the building, there's some cracks in the terrazzo. We walked it over the Christmas break on January 2nd. Andriola is the terrazzo installer. They came, Pogue, Huckabee, myself. We walked the building, went through, talked about our concerns. They came out. They've been installing, Andriola has been installing terrazzo for a long time. The owner actually came. He went through it, took some pictures. We sat down and discussed some remedies to fix that. One of the remedies was an epoxy, a repair on some of the cracks. They can then be blended in to where the idea is that it doesn't look like that they've done the repair. They did a mock-up of that Monday at Creekside. So we're going to look at that mock-up on Friday, me, Pogue, Huckabee, and I don't think Andriola's coming back for that one. They might, though, just to see what the mock-up looked like, give our thoughts and discussion about next steps. The other suggestion they had is if you look at some of the zinc strips, which is the metal that's in between each sheet of terrazzo, there's leaking or leaching of material from underneath their water. And if you may wonder if you noticed it's blue, that's because they use blue chalk lines, which they shouldn't. When they drop those down, they should use a clear chalk line or a white chalk line when they drop that terrazzo. Sometimes they use colored chalk and it leaches through. That's what they told me is the reason why you have that color on there. That's the water still evaporating from the sand bed underneath the terrazzo, and it goes to those zinc strips to come out. The idea that they suggested, the installer, was to, we've sealed that floor. And if you don't seal terrazzo, just like any other cement, when a kid spills the spaghetti on the ground, it could soak into that cement and stain. Well, you seal it to keep that staining from happening. In this case, their recommendation is to take a small portion of right next to that zinc strip, remove the seal on that so that can evaporate quicker. When you seal it, it also keeps the evaporation from happening very quickly. they recommend that we remove some of that so that water can leach out quicker. The risk of that is something could, sounds like water tapping on it. The risk that could happen is something does get on it, but with their commitment, the installer said we can remove most stains in the risk of a small area. That's not what we're going to do. We haven't decided to do that, working with Huckabee and our team, but those are the suggestions. So those are kind of the next steps on that. Right now, the cracks don't look great, so that's a big we have plenty of retainage left over that we can use to make sure that that product looks the way it should. So we'll work through that process and come up with next steps soon.
And Mr. Mansfield, by retainage, you mean we have not paid that contractor what we owe that contractor because they haven't finished the job?
We have $2.6 million left in retainage, and the estimate on that floor to dig up and put back down is around $800,000. So we have plenty of retainage withheld right now to keep that, and we will not give it until we're satisfied with that.
So what's the estimated time of this year? I think it'll block till summer. It doesn't seem like we have it. We do that.
So if that's a good question. If the epoxy, that takes just a half it. I mean, they can go in there and put the epoxy down. There is a smell associated with it if you do a lot of it, but they just did that on a Monday when we had staff development. Most of the people didn't even know what was going on. There wasn't a smell, and the crack was probably 4 foot long. That doesn't take long if they were to put the epoxy in and seal up some of those cracks, which is a common practice that they do.
I guess I didn't understand how we're fully sealed, but taking that off so that it could hear it.
That doesn't take long at all. They'll just remove just a small amount right next to the zinc strips, not all of it, so that water can leach out. That doesn't take long at all. They can strip that on a weekend. So what they said is they can do a lot of the work over spring break or a weekend. Spring break was kind of the plan if we were going to move forward with that. If it's a more substantial repair, it's summertime.
So what kind of leaching? We got better weather. Is there water? Anything that's
Shouldn't be, and it's water that was trapped in there, and so it's trying to get out. And what's helping right now is we have the heaters on, so the heaters dry things out quicker, but it still slows it down when it's sealed. If we remove that sealer, they think it'll dry out quicker, and the leaching will stop when it dries out. That's the theory. Other than that, the campus is, they're in it, and they're occupying it, and it's going well. Lake Creek, we've got a final punch list going with that. A few things that are on there, nothing substantial. There's no big outstanding items at Lake Creek. That project was a little bit different. There was epoxy terrazzo there to match the existing terrazzo that was previously done, and then upstairs is VCT. So we don't have the flooring issues we had there. We have a couple of small items in there, some gas lines and things that, and science labs. CT and Ag, that's our largest project right now, as you guys know. It's our most expensive project as well. It's tracking on time, under budget. In fact, as I came in last year, Dr. Ruffin and I had this discussion. When I came in last year, we were CT the other day. He and I walked it. And where they are right now at CTE is so much further ahead than where we were at Creekside in April, May. So sheetrock going up, and you'll see some of the pictures here in a little bit. They're going to turn on the AC HVAC systems, get those going. We have permanent power to the building. The terrazzo will be coming and soon. That's around March, April kind of thing, and it's moving along pretty quickly. So they're on time with that project. They've done well.
Brad,
weather won't be a big factor for
us. What subcontractor doing the terrazzo at the CTE? Is it the same contractor that did Creekside?
This one is Southern Terrazzo is who's doing the one. That's a local contractor. Andriola was a Dallas contractor.
Okay.
So we're not using them as Southern Terrazzo.
Hey, how many trees did we go back and plant?
Oh, I'll get to that. Okay. I can tell you right now, unless you want to spoil the surprise.
No.
So
I don't want to get ahead of you.
Yeah. So real quick, Diana, can you move that to double the speed, please? If y'all don't know Diana, she is unbelievable when it comes to working these PowerPoints. She's very good at these. So that's good enough. Oh, that's Amanda doing it. So this was just taken on Saturday. So you can see right here the CTE building, and I'm going to see if this thing is working. It's not. Oh, it is working. Okay. So you can see the trees that Dr. Ruffin was just referring to. You can see quite a few of them right there and along this bank. You can see the backside of the CTE building. You'll see the chiller units, which I get excited about because those are in. That's a big project to get those in. The ag barn here, you can kind of see the entire project coming to fruition here from this flyover. The little switchback sidewalk that goes up, moving back away from it. It's not as exciting to move back, but you see the neighborhood right there, but then the detention ponds and all that. You can see the parking lots coming up. And then as we move back around to the, you'll see the creek right there that runs alongside CTE. You can see some trees we planted on the backside there. And those trees are required by code, the city of Montgomery. I did ask the question, why did we tear every tree out of here? It was a lot of elevation changes that they had to deal with. So we added quite a few. So there's the ag barn. And if I say this correctly, I'm going to say bovine. So this is the bovine area. These two wings right here are the actual sheep and pig areas and goat. In the middle is an arena, and then also some classroom space at the very front of that ag space, and then the rest of it is just kind of the grass area. Stepping back from here is the side that has all the kind of the yards for auto mechanic, fabrication. The AV is on that side. Welding is all in there. And then you can really kind of see kind of the trees that have been planted along that road right there. And then we'll zoom in and you can see the addition up there that was added at the top of that second, or at the second floor right there. And as we pull back around, they do have the American and Texas flag flying there every day now, which I thought was pretty cool. And one of the things I notice and I appreciate about Stewart is their job site is always clean. When you walk through that building, you're not tripping over stuff, trash. They do a good job of staying on top of it. Here you can see some of the stone veneer and some of the siding that goes up, and then some of the windows. Here is the little underlayment. You can see like the faux wood underlayment at the entrance there, in the front entrance, and then some of the windows. And here's the front entrance again with some of that stone and masonry. One of the things that went up this week, this past couple of weeks, is if you look right here at the vent hoods, the kitchen hoods for the culinary. There's 14 hoods in there. So our culinary kids, if you walk in there, you can see what these kids, if it doesn't inspire them and if they don't want to be a sous chef or a chef, when they get to work in that kitchen and the things that they can do and learn, it's amazing. I mean, I can just picture all the equipment in there and those kids getting to learn some of those real life skills.
Suck all the AC up.
It might, yeah. It will, but it'll also suck all the smells. We'll turn them off when the bacon's going though. I like that smell. So some tiles going up too. And some of the bathrooms and common areas. There's a lot of tile throughout the commons and cafeteria area. This is a robotics area, and you can see that's the auto mechanics there on the left, and those bays that'll be going in right there. Robotics common area right there. Our big open space right there for the robotics field. This is Cosmo, and I wanted to show you guys this because one of the things that we're putting in there that's a new product for the district that I don't think we have in any of our buildings is a polished concrete. So it looks very similar to terrazzo, a whole lot less expensive and very, very durable and very little maintenance. So we're going to have polished concrete throughout the areas of this, but the Cosmo lab is one of the big ones. There's a lot of chemicals that can spill on that, and polished concrete is sealed up and it can hold up to it. But they grind it down. When they get more stuff in there and they don't have to worry about damage, they'll grind it down and it almost looks like you can see the aggregate, it's pretty sharp. See a lot of sheetrock up. You'll see the ceiling grids going up, which is a big step. When you see those ceiling grids going up, they'll go and they'll get them inspected, make sure they pass, and then they'll start covering that stuff up. Here's some additional pictures of the ag barn and ag facility. See some of the CMU in the back. And I wanted to bring back some of these pictures we had from the design phase to kind of show you what that ag barn is going to look like with that stone veneer, and then the panels up as well. All right, so that's the Ag Center. Montgomery High School renovation, not as much excitement going on there because there's a lot of summertime stuff that is going to be going on over there, but we do have a few things with the signage on the doors that have been updated. We started that process, and then also some technology fixes in the auditorium. and a lot of work being done on diva shells and things that are in there. But getting that new panel, sound panel in there and lighting panel has been nice. Transportation Fuel Center, that's a Nash Huckabee job. And where we are right now with that project is there's a lot of work on the detention pond that's going to continue. Lime is scheduled for February 21st. It's a wet lime. Obviously, with the weather that's coming up these next 2 days, they wish they could have done it earlier. They've had quite a bit of weather impact on that. It's all outside stuff, and it's all dirty work right now. So weather has impacted them. Just so you know, we got with them recently and pushed Nash to give us a recovery schedule. Where are you going to be? How are you going to get to this August 1st deadline that you have? And they have provided us with that schedule to catch up, weather permitting. And I'll go over a few of those dates coming up right here. But this week, our lime stabilization will be later on. Hopefully it'll start on Friday, and that'll be for the actual parking lot, the phase 1 parking lot. And that's that top part that they've dug out, not where the buses are parked right now, but that very top part. They'll continue the work on the digging out those detention ponds. Then they'll start putting the masonry in those, the bricking, to keep those there from washing in. And then on Friday, we're going to actually pour the piers for the fuel center and wash plant storage. So they'll get some concrete poured there. Next week, weather pending, is be Wednesday. I think next week is when we're going to put the phase 1 concrete down. We'll start that process. And that'll take a couple weeks to get that done. It's a big section. Once we get that poured and striped, the idea is we'll start shifting those buses to park there. And then we'll start work on the part that they're vacating. Then the last part is down there by the shop. That's phase 3. They'll pull the fuel tanks up and have the other ones set and resurface all that. Detention ponds are still in progress. That's been a big struggle. They cannot a whole lot you can do with that during this wet season. Underground utilities are pretty much done, except for a couple of pieces to connect the utilities that they ran over the break to the wash plant and to the storage shed. And then behind due to weather, got a recovery schedule. We actually just got that from them today. Here's some of the dirt work that they've done recently, and got some culverts and easements or culverts ready to go in. Nothing too exciting there with the pictures as far. Renovations to the triplets. So we had our first big OAC with Division I on Monday. They bring a big group. I've been impressed with Division I up to this point. They bring their whole team to these OACs, and they'll have each one superintendent that we've met and gotten to know, and they've had a lot of they've answered a lot of our questions for each one of those projects. So it's great having them here. Right now they're working on submittals. They plan to start in April, some outdoor work and some overhead stuff, after hours electrical. Won't really impact anything, like the campus shouldn't even know they were there the night before. During the day, the fences will be put in. So we want to start that fencing and finish as much of that as possible for the school year. It's hard to get fence contractors here in the summertime because they're very busy. So we'd like to get that started. We have those plans ready to review, finalize, and get going. And then summer plans, our plan with that is David, myself, and Joe, is we will communicate with each campus, give them, sit down with their faculty in a faculty meeting, talk about here's how you need to prepare for the summer, what you need to take home, what you need to do with your room. You need to remove all, stuff from your walls so they can paint. So they're communicated with, and also give an idea, hey, this is what's coming up to your campus. This is what's going to be new, the panels, the paint, the updating, all that stuff. And so get them excited about what's going to be happening over the summer. And also remind them that, don't come up there during the summertime barefoot walking around a job site. Let's stay away. I know you want to get up there, but we just want to make sure they know exactly what to do to keep everybody safe and get the work done. The athletic complex is another one that's been impacted a little bit by weather, but they've actually been rocking and rolling pretty good over there. They're on time. They're moving, and they're on time right now, so they're doing good. They got a lot of the site work and utilities done, and that was a lot of the stuff that you would see dug underneath that road that goes behind the football field or on the in between the field house and the football field. Those utilities underground work has been put in. The existing field house renovation is underway, 95% complete. So the current field house is there. Epoxy, paint, and bench painting, all that stuff is pretty much done. The only thing really left is some casework and doors. So the doors are still purple. So we're waiting on those doors to be put in. But the softball's already in there and using it. So they use that and they can change in there. We're hoping to turn over the football locker room to baseball to use here pretty soon. Just a real quick overview of what the plan, you guys are very familiar with this, but there's the old locker room right up there. And this is the one that we're almost done with. This one's pretty much done. There's all new paint and flooring throughout this entire thing. The epoxy floor in these two rooms, I got some pictures of those, looks great compared to what it was. So here's a picture of the football locker room and baseball locker room during baseball season. The benches aren't in yet. There'll be some hooks up. They're going to stain all that next week. The painting has been done. You can see that black stripe in there, but that epoxy floor looks pretty sharp. They put some new water fountains with bottle fillers in there. Here's the softball locker room with their benches that have been sealed, and they stay purple because that's MHS that's in there. They're not neutral. No team will use that but MHS. The netting up at the baseball field, and I also had that red clay right there is actually the foundation footprint for the new field house. They should be pouring that next week. Tomorrow is going to be some forms going down. They're digging the trenches. There'll be some rebar going in later on this week. They can do that with the weather the way it is, being cold, but they can't pour that concrete until it gets above freezing. And then you can see the net at the baseball and softball field here. The sidewalk, if you've been to an MHS baseball game, softball's not really impacted because you don't have to make it all the way down there. We had a fence kind of, you can see it right there, that is a path for the people to get down. That is going to be moved to the inside of that sidewalk, and you'll have a sidewalk that accesses the bathrooms and the parking lot that you can walk all the way down and access. They poured that yesterday. So we'll have that sidewalk ready to go. Now you can go into the bathrooms. The very fancy porta-john will be gone. And so we won't have to worry about it overfilling as well. So that once that's done, they can get into the bathrooms behind the concession stand, and the people watching the game can access that. Here's some more site work being done. They're going to be forming out for the foundation for the concession stand and putting the rebar in for the piers to go in for the steel. The parking lot there where it's been dug out, a lot of that's going to be where the bleachers are going to be. And I want to show you one more time the final mock-up of the turf. So in there we got the Lions and the Bears there. And birthplace of the Texas flag. And then you can see the new home and new visitor, the sides swapped. Safety, we're on the back end here, I promise. The safety film, it's a safety security grant money. We are pretty much 100% done. And I say that with confidence because I know tomorrow they're finishing up the few windows they have left at a certain campus. I'm not going to say which one, but they were pretty much done with that. And the final punch will be happening now. We have been punching it. We've been going along. N-Pro's been punching it. And then Huckabee and David have gone and looked for little things that have been wrong with the install job. So we're pretty happy with the work that's been done on that. So we're excited to have that complete. Summer projects, a little quick update on those. Oak Hills and Keenan, they're getting a pretty dirty project, but it's going to be installation of smart panels, and we have to put some backing on the walls that Stuart's going to be helping with us with that project. Lincoln will be some grading and repairing of the apron to the entrance to the parent drive. That has to be done in the summer. We thought about trying to do it over Christmas break. Who knows what weather would have done? We'd have been stuck with no drive there. Wouldn't have been a good feel the first day of school after the break, so we waited till summer. And those are going to be used for contingency funds for that. Any questions about the bond?
On the CTE building, we had talked about the switchback sidewalk in between the two facilities. Did we look at going a straight one down?
You're talking about like a stairway? Yeah. So we did look at that, and it's still something we can consider, but we thought for the best, kids are probably going to use the sidewalk. I mean, they're probably not going to be a whole lot of foot traffic is what we're thinking. So the switchback is because it's so steep, but adding the stairs would be a pretty significant cost. So
did we look at the cart access, how we're doing that at that gate?
Yeah, we've actually had conversations with both Brendan with Huckabee, and I think, Amanda, you and I talked about it at one point, having card reader license plate to make things a little simpler.
For the people gate I'm talking.
Oh, yeah.
For the people gate, not the car gate?
Not the car gate.
Yeah.
Yeah, is there an electronic access point at that, or is it just?
Had one at first.
Okay.
For the most part, they're going to be driving down there. Most of it, there's no ag classes at the CT Center. We want people to be able to walk, but that will be the norm. People will be driving to the CT Center. Like he was saying, we don't feel like it's going to be utilized on a regular basis. It's extra.
Yeah, most students are going to go from, first and second period at the CTE center to third and fourth period at the Ag Science Center where they're actually making that walk. They're pretty much going to be at the Ag Science Center to start their day or whatever their periods are.
Like if there's ever some sort of show, like cross-site show or anything, we would be utilizing a CT Center party as well, but we would have gates with the event. It would be long the gate, or we would all be there, has to be there, have a reason to have. Just open the gates for people to be coming to the front start.
So they'll just be padlocked, I guess.
I don't think we can padlock them.
You talking about the pedestrian gate? Right. We don't have it would be a padlock, or it would be, I don't think it's a crash bar, but I'd have to check. I'm not completely
check
sure.
on it.
Also likely have some ADA requirements.
That's the reason for the switchback is the ADA requirements on the slope of that.
So do we have card key access to the two?
So there's 2 gates, there's one on each side. So one of them, just like now at the farm, one of them is like to be a padlock that no one drives through. It's for maintenance use, or we had a show in one both sides of it. And then the other side of the card access, like I said, we're looking into a license plate thing as well. For sure, some sort of card is specialized key access.
What about to the specific sides of the bar?
Card here, gives the card access.
So Lake Creek student couldn't go MHS and vice versa, and it tracks who's going in and out.
It does have to be salt or cameras on the inside, just to see that kids aren't going into the test.
So there's not going to be a different access part per school.
Here is an access card first. It was going on more side. It's kind of like right now, all our kids, as you see numbers on worse. Being with lesser growth. Building their side into the set where they keep our kids specific or over throw just twice. But they're separate, yeah.
So you can't go into the Lake Creek side of the bar and physically walk to the MHS side of the project, right?
He's asking if they're going to be separated, or is it just going to be a free-for-all? Once you're in there, you can go to Andy's schools.
Sure. Well, you can see
there's
the picture, they're separated. I think here's an art food too. The ones that I would walk out around it. I could walk into the town. We can't stop. It's not completely enclosed. The open cattle pits, but all of the main entrance point.
So when you walk in, I think when you walk in this front entrance, I don't think there's any way you could keep one person from going one side or the other once you're inside of the building.
Oh yeah, it's not the building. It is for each wing.
That's what I'm actually saying. But I was under the impression that if the Lake Creek kid had a project on the Lake Creek side, that an MHS kid couldn't get to the Lake Creek project.
Don't match access points. There's a door.
Oh man.
There's a door. Yeah. So in it inside, where we access ports to the first section, which is big things in the land. I think those are all access. The only way I'm saying you could possibly get to cabins turn outfit where it's a light turn outfit connected. If you want to crawl near town and get there, that's how you get into the building. If you can't get through an NHS, you couldn't walk all the way through Lake Creek. There's access points along the way. Each building has an access point. The lands that go to things have an access point. The arena, the show arena is going to have access points, so you can't just go walk through Lake Creek side or the pigs or anything.
So
you go to your page one and see how they all unlock separate sections shut off.
Sorry, I say
Did you go to the new painting while we toured?
yes.
And they had the separate doors we went through like that. It's the same concept.
Okay.
That their key cards are going to be for their area.
So you're saying hypothetically, if somebody wanted to, I think, go ahead, help.
But we have a lot of cameras at all the access points and moving cars. These.
I don't think there's a part of that building as far as the interior of that building that you won't be on camera.
You out this indicated that new structure. Yeah. But it's nice. Character. Okay. Every few months you do work. But there was no in front of the building that they could get a sweet building or actually. Well,
Thank.
Board members, any other questions?
When do they plan on pouring the final driveways?
So, are you talking about the entryway driveways? Oh, I would probably say they'll do one at a time, but I would ask them to do it as late as possible. I mean, because I don't want
They'll do that in coordination because we got to widen that the turn lane right there.
we got a turn lane that's going to be, well, I mean, it's on the creek side right there.
Would assume they do it in coordination with that.
Yeah.
So the city's done a traffic study on that and everything for the turn lane or not?
Yeah, but they give us what we're required to put in there.
And those plans are in their hands right now. And we're waiting to get finalized.
All right. Any other questions?
Hey, Brad, real quick on that terrazzo there, you were talking about, if that repair job doesn't look good, I mean, what's the other option? Tear it all up, have us redo it?
That is an option.
That's the last option, I would imagine.
It is.
Sure.
Yeah, that is all. Yeah, I'm glad to meet you. You know what I'm saying? We first that foot down here. As you stuff the ages or whatever, there's expression.
Sure.
Blanks, storage, body, looks, boxes, look. Got to see it, but land is blanks.
Are we concerned about it continuing to crack down the road?
What, and there is a warranty. Security docs, but the owner told me you continue to have to got that. Stuff like that. Yeah. Commit. We're still worried.
Okay.
I can tell you the second options. All I know is
okay.
So I said to years.
All right. Any other questions on bond update? Folks, hearing none, then that is all that we have on our agenda for the evening. I'd like to conclude this meeting. The time is 7:40.